Jessica Brody has some really good printouts that you can get once you sign up on her website. There is a little issue with the sign up though that I had been experiencing since last year, where you begin signing up with your email and the cursor kind of just keeps spinning and nothing happens. So I wrote their support email system people and explained the issue, and they forwarded me the PDFs that I had wanted to sign up for. So I appreciated that. One of them was about writing routines. This was a simple little workbook, just kind of breaking down how you plan to commit to a writing routine, when and how many hours, and a pre-writing routine. What are some things you can do? She gave some ideas. That song always gets me. I wrote an article on Medium about how that song always kind of like takes me out of my depression. It's just, there's something to it that I instantly can start shaking my shoulders and dancing. So I figured I could add that to a pre-writing ritual where I've put on the song and kind of just get all the stagnant energy out. And then here, just to tell you, I so-and-so promised to prioritize my writing and treat it with the respect it deserves, and signing it and doing all that stuff. I want to use the Force app more. I have it and I barely use it. I only remember to use it when I'm on a stream with someone who is using it. And then I remember whether it's the Courtney Project or Zara Hoffman. Those are the only times that I remember to actually use the Force app. So this was a fun little workbook that I appreciated, kind of just as a little refresher to go over. And yes, I printed it out, used a lot of ink for this front page, hence why it's the Save the Cat Starter Kit workbook. I decided that I was going to keep it black and white because it was also a lot more pages. So I haven't gone through this yet, but I do want to go over it, especially because I am in the outlining stage. So I'm curious to see how she breaks down Save the Cat in this little workbook. Hey YouTube, it is Sunday. It is January 8th and it's been a very leisure day, and I wanted to chat with you about a book that I just read today, which is A Book in a Week by Kate Hall. I had this in my TBR of books, and for some reason I decided to open it up yesterday and briefly skim it, and I surprisingly then opened it up today and I read it all in one sitting. So it's a fairly short, easy book to get through, and I found it very interesting. I did take some notes on it. The book is about motivating you to write a book a week. The subtitle is How I Outline and Draft a Novel in 7 Days. So it was interesting in the sense that, honest opinion, I don't feel like it gave you I don't feel like it gave you a secret to how they write their books in a week. And it's very much focused on self-publishing rapid release. For indie authors, in certain genres especially, I believe there is an expectation for rapid releases. And her book is all about motivating you on figuring out that you can do it too. She goes over how her life has significantly changed from what it used to be to how she can live her life now, free to just write books and live a more comfortable leisure life with her husband than before. She paints a picture that you would desire to emulate in some way or another, especially if you want to become a full-time author, whether that be traditionally or indie self-published. Now, I don't fully know how I feel about this whole book a week scenario and rapid releasing. In the end, I think it's not for everyone. Just like with everything, there is something for every individual. What she mostly goes over is the 3-act structure and telling you not to edit as you go when drafting. So she really encourages you to try to figure out the story fairly quickly. She says that it takes her 20 minutes to outline an entire story. That's kind of crazy to think about. So it takes her 20 minutes to outline a story and 1 week to write a book. And she says that you can do it too. And it can be a full quality story with a 3-act structure format, which she did go extensively into, which is more where I took some notes on. But for the most part, I don't know per se that she released this specific secret that would unlock every writer to suddenly be able to draft in a week an entire novel. It's interesting because trying to think about Project Blinding Lights and going back to when I started drafting it in March of 2021, and then I took a couple months of just sitting with the beginning for a while until I really started for, I think it was Camp NaNoWriMo, that I really committed to finishing the draft, and I didn't finish it until late October. Granted, if I look back, there was a lot of life scenarios going on that kept me from being able to write consistently, so the story did take that long to draft. I also drafted over 100,000 word novel, so I believe that a lot of her novels are shorter or novellas. They're either novellas or they're shorter novels, so there is that factor to consider. Ideally, if I could write a quality novel in a week, that would be amazing. She also tries to realistically set out, if you can't do a novel a week, aim for at least a novel a month so that you are ahead of the game and able to still rapid release novels that will keep the market and the algorithm in your favor. So I am first pursuing traditional publishing. So this kind of differs in the fact that I'm not momentarily aspiring to be an indie author who rapid releases. But I would like to have multiple novels under my belt that I feel are ready, so that when the querying process does begin, I have multiple options available to submit. Now, the thing that was not very informative was the editing process. Pretty much, she self-edits using Grammarly plugins, and that's about it. And so for the most part, she feels that she gets 99% of her grammatical issues taken care of through Grammarly, and rarely has issues with readers finding mistakes. That part I wasn't very fond of. That part I felt like I would have wanted a more expounded upon explanation towards editing, hoping that it was more than just put it through Grammarly and that's it. There's aspects to developmental edits and other line edits that aren't grammatical that I would want an editor to look at to make my story the best that it can be. But I get what she's doing here. She is trying to make this feasible for anyone. She is going through as many free options as possible, even when it comes to her formatting, so that the average writer who doesn't have the means right now to invest in all of the facets required for self-publishing can still do it. She's letting you know that there's still a chance you can still do it this way. Okay, I bit the bullet. Hold on. I have Hallmark on. Okay, so I bit the bullet. I had enough in my bank account to get this. So Tiffany had mentioned this the other day to me, and I had it up on my, I say Kindle, but this is my mini iPad that are pretty much the only thing I do is buy Kindle books and read from it. So intuitive editing, I'm very curious to read this book and to see if it helps for the editing process of Blinding Lights. So I may start it tonight and definitely will update you guys along the way. So now that I've had a sleep, I wanted to actually add in a thought I had about the Write a Book a Week novel. And one thing that I felt could really benefit potentially from that novel is Kindle Vella writers. Now, you're doing episodic series, and within that you are creating these short form stories that need to be released ideally at least once a week. And I can imagine that, especially with a lot of Kindle Vella users and writers who are just beginning, they don't have yet the means to do a bunch of editing prior to releasing. So I believe that her method of really keeping things simplistic, writing your book a week and at least putting it through Grammarly, having at least a reread of it and posting it on Vella, I think that definitely can work, that system. So if you are a Kindle Vella user then and writer, author, I would check out Write a Book in a Week, because it may have some very interesting tidbits that can motivate you. And like I said, it's a very short and quick read. I mentioned this last night, but it is Monday, the 9th of... my brain went through October, September, and now it's back to where it's supposed to be, which is January. So it is January 9th and Monday. I believe it's the 9th. I'll put it on screen if I'm right or wrong. And I started intuitive editing yesterday, and I'm only 9% in, but already it's very helpful in what she has. I believe it's a she, what they have shared on how to do just the beginning process of self-editing. And so far it's doing a cold read. I like the steps. She really breaks it down, but just in bullet point form, the process for that beginning first part of the editing of first draft is gain objectivity. And how do you do that? There are different ways you can do that. One of the ways that I really found helpful was switching rooms and switching your location. Preferably for me, it would be sitting in a different part of the house and rereading the book. So you're taking your brain out of your writing zone, wherever that may be. And for me, it's my desk. And so moving to a different part of the room switches that writer brain inside, and you can then go into a reader brain, especially if you end up rereading your novel on, for example, Kindle, on an e-reader. Number 2 is read like a reader. So turn off that writer brain, turn off trying to edit as you go and fix a million things that come to mind. Just that first reread, completely cold read it and just get through it so that you can familiarize yourself with the story as a whole. Make brief notes address fundamental issues, which she calls macro editing, address the support elements of a story, which she calls micro editing. After you make some little adjustments and you go in and you actually take care of what needs to be taken care of first, instead of going from the entire thing beginning to end and trying to edit the entire novel, you are going to take what you took away from your reread and your cold read, and you're going to fix those issues first. And once you have implemented them, then you're going to do the process all over again, and you're going to do another cold read. So she goes back to saying you regain objectivity and reread. And then 7, 8, 9 is repeat, repeat, repeat. And then number 10, once that process has been done over and over again to where things are flowing and the story is where it needs to be, then you can go in and polish with line edits. So far, that is the takeaway. But again, that's with me only being 9% in. There is so much left of the book, and I'm really excited because just this beginning portion, I feel like I've already taken a lot from it. So we shall see what the rest of the book entails, and I will definitely let you guys know and update you along the way. So like I said, today is Monday, and that means that tonight is Right by the Moon live stream. What will I be working on for this live stream? I am going to go back into outlining mode. Now, one of the things that I did take away from the Write a Book a Week also was I appreciated the way she simplistically broke down the 3-act structure. And she even showed examples, and that was another thing that I did like about the book, was that she showed specific examples by screenshots of what things looked like in her Scrivener file. If she's explaining something about formatting, she actually puts pictures of where you would find certain things on the toolbar and all that. So one of the things that she showed was an example of her Scrivener document and how she outlined using the 16-step outline of the 3-act structure that she explained within the book. So I think I'm going to be working on that specifically. I want to see. Now, here's the thing. I don't see myself outlining this book specifically in 20 minutes. I've been outlining it already for a couple of weeks now, and we're nowhere near done. Though I will say Esther really gave me some good advice and reminded me that I don't have to have this book perfectly outlined before drafting it. If I get the main points needed and then the story starts flowing within my mind for drafting, then I should just start drafting the parts that are coming to me. And it's true, I don't want to feel like I have to, if I stick with perfectionism, then we know what happens, and I will just continue to procrastinate and not actually move forward with anything because I want it to be perfect. But what I am going to do tonight is I'm going to look at that breakdown on my Dabble Writer app. I already wrote down at least the name headers for each of the outline points. So I'm going to try to fill them out tonight and see how far I can get in actually filling those out, and we'll see what happens. So if you see here, this is pretty much where I've kind of broken down all the parts for the outline. So I'm going to try to go into each and every one of them and start filling them out, and we'll see how far I can get tonight. Good morning, friends. It is Tuesday. I keep wanting to say other months that are not January 10th, and I am ready to go backstage to the writer's room. So the writer's room convenes on Tuesdays with Barrett Laurie, Tiffany from TL Russ Lifestyle, and author Morgan Lee. And so I submitted a short story for them to look over and critique. And so I am excited, I'm a little nervous, and we'll see how it goes. So I will tell you guys later on about how I felt when it came to writing that short story, because there was definitely a joy of writing that came over me and came back to me that was just wonderful, and I really enjoyed writing it, and it just poured out of me. So hopefully it's good. We shall see what others think of it, and yeah, I'll keep you guys updated. So the writer's room went pretty amazingly. I was truly encouraged with all of their feedback and their words on the short. They really enjoyed it. They had some high praises for it, which really was such a motivation for my heart, because it'd been a long time, other than Heather and my other critique partner, Nicole. I haven't really shown many people yet a lot of my writing recently, at least no one from this community. I have in the past, but just no one from this community recently in the last year. I haven't really shared much of my writing. So this was, a big deal. Next to when I did the description workshop with Laura Nettles, this was like a full piece that I was hoping was a full beginning, middle, and end story. And thankfully it was. There were a couple little tweaks of advice that they gave me that I could incorporate into the story and just switch out a few things here and there. And I absolutely agree and plan to work on that tonight during Nia's Vixen of Fiction's Night Write stream. So it was really exciting. It's crazy because when I was writing this short, it's a short story. I don't know if I explained this, but I'm aiming to submit it to the AuthorTube Anthology that Stygian Society Publications is going to do. And you can go to Holly Rhiannon's YouTube for that information. But their submission guidelines was that it can't be any more than 5,000 words and no less than 1,000 words. And so I got motivated because of this one piece I wrote for Medium over a year ago now. And I took the first little paragraph of it and something just started flowing. And I had this story that literally poured out of me and just unraveled before my eyes, and I just couldn't stop writing, and I got it done in less than 2 days. And I had not, oh man, it was such a good feeling. It had been a while since I got lost like that in a story drafting specifically. I guess because I've been in the outlining trenches lately and figuring that whole process out for myself and for this new story, and then putting Blinding Lights, Project Blinding Lights to rest in the corner. This was something that, I don't know, I really needed it. I needed this experience. I needed to write this story because it really fueled something within me and reminded me that, yes, I am a writer and I'm not bad at it, which is very nice to come to terms with oneself. And so it was just really exciting, and I loved the feeling I had writing that story and how it just poured out. And the fact that by backstage when we were talking after the writer's room show, that they gave me ideas for how I can completely expound upon it and make it into a full-length story if I wanted to. And that got my wheels turning and started percolating and getting me really excited, because I could absolutely see this story build into something bigger. So I'm not going to work on the bigger aspect of it. I'm going to try to finalize the short of it for the submission, and then I will work on continuing and finishing outlining Project Stars, which was another success, because yesterday during the stream, something just clicked. And I had this moment of realization for two of the main characters, and that was the little nugget I needed to unlock everything else. Suddenly, things fell into place. And the outlining process began, and I got a lot of the main points already figured out. through that same program on Dabble Writer that I was using, that Kate Hall in her book, Write a Book a Week, gave the illustration of her Scrivener and the 16 points within the 3-act structure. I have filled out most of those, and then I started filling in the blanks with bullet point scenes as well. So I'm really excited. I feel very fueled right now. I have project stars coming together. I have this short story that really encouraged me and just was such a motivation as a writer, and the validation from not just my friends but creatives themselves who are writers. Morgan's an editor. Being able to get positive feedback about the story from them truly meant a lot to me, and I don't take it lightly. Their advice and their critiques and their praise, it just put a fire under me to get things done and really bring these projects to life. So I'm just really excited. I'm in this writer's high right now and I'm loving it. So for Nia's stream, I'm going to incorporate some of the critiques and ideas that they gave me to put into the short, and that's what I'm going to focus on, as well as editing this video and getting it out to you guys tomorrow. I will talk more about this process. I will talk more about my excitement and all the feelings and emotions going on. I will share a lot of this also on my newsletter. So I have started a newsletter and I want to share exclusive information, updates, and also short stories with those who sign up for my newsletter. So I'm going to leave the link to that down below. Definitely check it out. I would love if you would sign up. I promise I will not spam you. There will be no more than one update a week max. And yeah, I'm pretty excited because I really want to not just share here on YouTube, but I want to find other avenues to share more with a close-knit community as I go on this writing journey with you. And I want to take you along, and I want to be able to give you guys exclusive content on that journey itself and my future writings. So definitely sign up for the newsletter down below. I would appreciate that. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. And I have a RedBubble shop, redbubble.com. You can look for CRW shop to see all my designs, or click the link below. I am DesireeMOrtega on most social media and on Ko-fi. And I want to thank you all for watching. Thank you so much for all your support. I hope you are having a fantastic start to your 2023. I'll see you all very soon.